Hello, everybody. This is Pac Man. Thank you for tuning in. This is part two of the series How Current Strategies for Profit Growth is Destroying the Game Industry. Um, if you listened to the first one, I went over some, just things that I observed in the gaming industry today and just, my 2 cents about it. This one is going to be focused specifically on this, and I'm going to go over just how these profit growth strategies really are hurting the industry. Due to the growth of the gaming industry, the companies which develop these games have grown into multi billion, multinational corporations. I mean, naturally, a company's corporate structure grows and its priorities change from that of a smaller developer into an entity which really the goals are defined increasingly by profit margins. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a company trying to create profit, trying to increase its profit margin. But as I'll explain in a little bit, there's a side effect to that, which has really hurt the gaming industry and its culture as a whole. Unlike a smaller developer, there's really a smaller developer really only has a little bit of room for failure when creating a gaming product. High quality really is a must, and because if the game fails, so does the company in a lot of cases. So they can't really afford to fail like a larger company can. A large developer can absorb the losses, and they have much larger revenues and cash on hand. They also have multiple streams of revenue. Most smaller developers do not have multiple streams of revenue. They only really have their investors and what they'll make for selling their product. This is a little bit different in the mobile gaming industry, which actually is more centered around um, gaining their profits during play of the game, but that's a little bit different. I'll touch into that in a sec. But these multiple revenue streams keep the larger developers in a dominant market stance, and it also influences the evolution of how a company models their strategy for profit growth in the industry. By that I mean really with the larger companies in domination and them implementing certain policies and ideas, this also influences other companies to do the same and sets kind of a precedent in the industry, which becomes a norm. Um, the gaming market also has changed, with mobile gaming consisting of about half of the gaming when compared to mobile, computer, console, and a combination thereof. Because mobile gaming profit strategies consist primarily of microtransactions, these have started to bleed into the computer and console gaming markets, being represented by live service games and real money stores to buy additional content within games. Companies like especially EA and Activision have been using these strategies to bleed their customers dry, so to speak, and have introduced a horrible pay to win aspect to gaming, which is just destructive in every way, shape, and form. Also, developers like these have been breaking their games apart really and selling them in pieces as DLC versus a complete product at launch. Um, if the games were low priced or free to play, as most mobile games are, this wouldn't really be a problem, other than pay to win, of course. Instead, the price of the games, with these aspects of microtransactions implemented, has remained at maximum market level. This is good for the developers since they can sell the game to you for full market price and then just collect more from you as you play the game versus really only having the revenue stream of a smaller developer, which is initial game sales. This has put the consumer really in, well, generally the consumer of console and computer games in a tight spot because as consumers in those markets, we recognize that the quality of these products is actually starting to decrease as a whole. The graphics and everything like that is starting to look better and better, of course, as technology progresses. But when it comes to the content of the game, it's actually starting to decrease. And the cost of playing the game is starting to increase as a result. As in the case in most situation, the average gamer is younger than me, being in their mid-teens to 20s. This age demographic also, just by chance, has the least amount of disposable income versus somebody like me who's in their 30s. In my view, this is really starting to stress the consumer base of the video game industry, which is causing a backlash, really. And I believe it is well deserved. When I see games attempting to make me spend more money as I play them, it rips me from the immersion of the game. When you see a little pop up that says, this, buy this, costs this much, and then go to the store, it's just, it rips you from the immersion of the game, and it reminds me that the developer is not satisfied with the money that I've already spent and is begging me to spend more money. In my opinion, this has really tainted the soul of the gaming industry and has created a feeling of, well, mistrust between the large game developers and the consumer. In closing, I guess the ever increasing demand for higher profits has turned a primary quality driven industry into more of an industry that's primarily profit driven. And most at our core can see it or feel it while we're playing a game. There are exceptions to that. There are some great games that come out, right off the bat, fun to play. I'm not saying that every single game and every single game developer is doing this, but as a whole, it's starting to really sow resentment in the community, and that's just never a good thing. I mean, they're splitting apart the consumer base into factions, which is never it's never a good thing when you're trying to sell your products. But those are really my 2 cents on this. I'll be back for part 3 of this series shortly. I do have a 9 to 5 day job, so I do try to make content, when I can. I am kind of just starting, so bear with me. But if you like it, please subscribe, give it a like. That would help out a lot. If you have any constructive criticism or have any opinion, feel free to leave a comment. I do read them. So yeah, thank you for watching and have a great day. Thanks again.